Violet had just returned home from the most glorious moment of her career. A Grammy nomination was confirmed, and her phone was buzzing with congratulations. She was floating on air. But there was an ominous silence in the driveway. The front door was open, and the terrible sound of crashing came from the garage studio. She ran toward the noise, and there she found a nightmare-like scene. Her brother, Jake, hammer in hand, was smashing her $15,000 custom mixing board. Her professional equipment lay scattered on the ground like a shattered dream. Jake, without looking up, called out, "Finally home from my little hobby. We need to have a family meeting about dividing the wealth." Then she saw her sister, Emma, standing in the corner, phone held high, live streaming the destruction. Emma said directly to the camera, her voice venomous, "This is what happens when you're selfish and don't share your success with your family. You kept taking opportunities while we struggled. Now it's time to give back to those who supported you." Jake was sweating, his hammer raised, and his intent was ruthless. Violet felt a war brewing against everything she'd built. Violet stepped forward to stop Jake from destroying more equipment, but Jake aggressively charged towards her and pushed her. She collided with his broken equipment, a sharp pain shooting through her ribs. Emma laughed, talking like a perverted sports commentator. "Look how selfish she is, protecting her toys instead of helping the family. This is going viral. Entitled sister, refusing to help a struggling family." Jake began listing his problems, a failing construction business, debt, as if Violet were the solution to them all. Emma immediately demanded that Violet use her industry connections to make her a powerful figure. She deserved the fame. "You think you're better than us because you play with a computer and call it music?" Emma sneered. Jake continued, "We raised you, supported your dreams. Now it's time for payback." When Violet pulled out her phone to call the police, Jake sharply interrupted her. $50,000 cash, and Emma gets meetings with record labels, or I'll fight until there's nothing left, Jake threatened. Over the next few days, Violet learned the cold, hard truth. This wasn't a spur of the moment. They'd been planning this attack for weeks. Emma showed him a detailed spreadsheet, detailing her equipment prices and industry contacts. They'd done their part. Jake framed his demands like a business proposal. $50,000 immediately, meetings with record label executives for Emma's career, and hiring Jake's production team for studio expansion. "I already told my people you were bringing them in for a big project," Jake said with a smug smile. But things took a turn for the worse when Emma posted her edited footage online. She had cleverly cut clips, making Violet look like a heartless sister who had abandoned a struggling family. Familial greed was at its peak. "Imagine being so selfish as to help your own siblings," one comment read. Within hours, an army of Emma's followers attacked Violet's professional social media accounts, flooding her with accusations about her character and calling her greedy. Potential clients began to question her. Jake further strengthened his position. 5 men in hard hats showed up at Violet's door, claiming they'd been promised work contracts. Violet now faced not only personal betrayal, but a systematic attack of professional destruction. "Violet is obligated to give us work," one of the harsh voices declared. The producer, who had become a stranger on her own doorstep, realized Jake was using her name to make promises he never kept. These men were expecting money for non-existent work. The final, painful blow came when she returned home one evening to find the locks had been changed. "Family intervention," Emma announced triumphantly from the door. "We're protecting you from further selfish decisions until you start sharing properly." They were holding her own home hostage. Jake continued to brutally break equipment daily, claiming it was to motivate Violet's obedience. Emma shamelessly live-streamed each session, growing her following based on her mental torture. The comments were fueled by anger. "Punish her for being selfish. She deserves it for being successful." But Violet wasn't going to sit back and take it. Her indignation turned into a cold, methodical resolve. She began keeping a record of every threat, every destroyed equipment, every false claim. Phone conversations were recorded, photos of the damage were taken. Everything was recorded. In desperation, Violet contacted her cousin David, a family scorn, a man ostracized for refusing to address others' problems. David nodded with deep understanding. They did the same thing to me, demanding money, destroying my possessions when I refused, and turning the family against me. David helped Violet safely retrieve her backup drive and most important files, and along the way, the horrifying truth emerged. Jake and Emma were defrauding potential clients using Violet's name. "You have to answer," David said firmly. "These people only see consequences." Violet spent those nights at David's apartment, not to give up, but to build a war chest. The siblings thought she was broken and desperate, but she was systematically documenting every piece of evidence: screenshots of Emma's harassing posts, photos of destroyed equipment, audio recordings of Jake's threats, everything with timestamps. Little did they know they had waged a war against someone who had the power to destroy careers. Jake and Emma celebrated victory in ignorance, but they had no idea that their seemingly peaceful brother's phone contacts held the power to destroy careers and reputations. 15 years in the industry had given Violet not only technical skills, but also connections that could make or break a career with a single phone call. Grammy Award-winning artists trusted her judgment implicitly. Label presidents valued her recommendations. Her reach extended beyond music. She worked with journalists who covered industry scandals, lawyers specializing in entertainment fraud, and even officials from the construction licensing board that regulated Jake's industry. Hidden security cameras in her studio captured the assault and vandalism in high definition, Jake pushing her, Emma laughing as she recorded her pain. It was all undeniable digital truth. Violet's final, dangerous weapon was now ready. Sometimes the quietest people have the loudest relationships, and her siblings had messed with the wrong person. Jake and Emma's egos had crossed all boundaries. Their demands went beyond money and connections to paying for a house, a car, and Emma's entire lifestyle as a full-time influencer. Jake brazenly began advertising production services online using photos of Violet's destroyed studio, claiming to have renovated recording spaces for industry professionals. Potential clients were calling him based on work he'd never done. Emma quit her retail job altogether, hoping Violet's connections would make her instantly famous. She was preparing her speech for awards she'd never receive. "You can do it the easy way or the hard way," Jake threatened during one of their daily meetings, "but you're going to have to pay what you owe." Emma created fake social media posts, flaunting her collaborations with major artists, building her entire online presence around lies about Violet's career. And then, they planned the final insult, a family intervention for the following weekend, inviting aunts, uncles, and cousins to witness Violet's public surrender. They thought this would be the stage for her surrender. Violet knew it would be the stage for her revenge. "Once the whole family sees how selfish you are," Emma said smugly, victory was certain. "They thought they would shame me into paying up or leaving forever." David helped me prepare, compiling surveillance footage, documenting the financial fraud, and gathering statements from industry professionals. "They have no idea what's coming next," David said. This family intervention was exactly what Violet needed, a room full of witnesses to her utter destruction. When Violet entered her parents' living room, she looked defeated and ready to give up. "Thank God, she's finally getting wise," Mom whispered. Jake stood up like the head of the family. "Violet has agreed to meet our legitimate demands." Emma was already live streaming. Just then, Violet put down her papers and smiled. "Do you want to know about family loyalty?" she said. "Let me show you what the real consequences are." She clicked play on the security footage. A deep silence fell over the room. They watched Jake destroy equipment with a hammer, while Emma laughed. The audio had captured every threat, every demand, every moment of violence. "You can't prove anything. This is family business," Jake stammered. "Actually, I can prove everything." "And I already have," Violet replied calmly. She showed them the confirmation emails. "Jake, your construction license is under investigation. The licensing board received a detailed report yesterday." Jake's face went white. "Emma, your social media accounts are being investigated for coordinated harassment and fraud. Extensive evidence has been found across all platforms." Emma immediately stopped the live stream, panic etched across her face. The entire family watched the footage, uncomfortably realizing they had been duped by a complete lie. "But it didn't end there," Violet said ruthlessly. David, would you be willing to share your information about his financial history? David stood up and shared the painful truth. Jake had defrauded 3 former business partners, and Emma had scammed dating apps and crowdfunding sites. You ruined my studio by taking me for granted. Now watch how I'll destroy everything you've built based on lies, Violet said with cold anger. Emma frantically tried to delete the post, but it was too late. The best part? Violet smiled. Now everyone in my industry contacts knows who you two are. Within 2 weeks, the saga of revenge was complete. Jake's production license was permanently revoked for deceptive business practices. The licensing board found a years-long pattern. Emma was permanently banned from all major platforms for systematic harassment and operating under a pseudonym. Her dreams of becoming an influencer were dashed overnight. Violet's industry contacts ensured that both siblings were blacklisted from any music or entertainment opportunities. Word spreads quickly in close-knit industries, and now everyone knew exactly what kind of people they were. When the entire family realized how deeply they had been deceived, they apologized profusely. My parents were deeply embarrassed by what they saw on the security footage. David helped Violet rebuild her studio in a new location, out of reach of the family. Violet's career flourished as industry professionals respected her professional and decisive handling of the situation. Jake and Emma were completely financially ruined as their scam-based income sources vanished forever. Their reputations in their respective fields were destroyed. Violet set strict boundaries, maintained no contact with her siblings, and limited contact with family members who had encouraged her behavior. Some people mistake kindness for weakness until they realize that the quietest people are often the loudest. Violet didn't wait for an apology. She ensured justice. Sometimes the best way to deal with bullies is to let their actions destroy them.